There is a truth, often ignored, that should reshape how we understand attraction. Studies show that 85% of women do not experience true arousal until one critical condition is met, one that has nothing to do with charm, appearance, or what many men wrongly believe. So many walk through life assuming attraction is symmetrical between men and women, that what stirs one must stir the other. And then they wonder why some encounters ignite like fire, while others fade into silence, even when interest seemed mutual. I too lived under this illusion until I encountered the science, the quiet psychology beneath the surface. And suddenly, the pieces fell into place. What I learned was not born in bravado, but in reflection, in centuries of survival, instinct, and reason. There are 5 stages that govern authentic female arousal, and most men, in their haste and ego, never perceive them. This is not idle talk. This is observation backed by research. Today we begin with the first and perhaps the most overlooked, emotional safety. Understand this. A woman's desire begins not in the flesh, but in the mind. Her thoughts, like sentinels, guard the gate to deeper connection. Before anything can unfold, she must silently ask herself, am I safe with this person? Not merely in body, but in soul. Emotional safety is not a suggestion, it is a foundation. It is not just about avoiding harm, it is about offering presence, stillness, trust. Across centuries, women have carried the burden of choosing wrong and paying dearly for it. Their minds are shaped by history, their intuition sharpened by necessity. This does not vanish in modern cities or digital messages. It persists. It protects. And so she will notice not your words, but how you respond when she says no. She will see whether you listen to understand or simply wait to speak. She will feel whether her boundaries are honored without resistance or resentment. All of it is quiet, subconscious, and yet exact. This is not manipulation. This is awareness. The wise man does not demand trust. He cultivates it through consistency, respect, and the strength to remain still when tested. If you fail to make her feel safe, there is no second step. The journey ends there. But if you succeed, if you are sincere in your calm, grounded in your intent, then the door to connection begins to open. Not by force, but by invitation. And that, perhaps, is the true beginning of attraction. As Marcus Aurelius once reflected, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are steady, your presence trustworthy, then desire may follow, not before. I learned this truth not from books or ancient philosophy, but from failure, humbling, personal failure. Years ago, I was seeing a woman with whom the surface connection seemed undeniable. Our conversations flowed, our laughter came easy, the chemistry felt real. But each time the path led toward greater intimacy, she would retreat. I was puzzled, frustrated, even resentful, until one evening she gave me a clarity I had not yet earned. She said, "You interrupt me constantly. You dismiss my opinions, on movies, on dinner, on things that might seem trivial to you. How can I feel safe opening myself to someone who doesn't even respect what I think about a restaurant?" Her words cut through my pride like a blade. And in that moment, I saw the truth. I had been trying to construct a tower of physical connection without building the foundation of emotional safety. Like a structure built upon sand, it could not stand. Emotional safety is not a moment, it is a pattern. It is the consistency of character shown in the smallest gestures. It is the strength to listen when you want to speak, the humility to honor a boundary without resistance, the discipline to hear her thoughts not as challenges, but as insights. It is proven not by promises, but by repeated behavior over time. This is not weakness. It is strength tempered by wisdom. And once this foundation is laid, the next flame is ready to be kindled. Mental stimulation. For many, this will be surprising, but it should not be. Arousal in the female psyche often begins in thought long before it reaches sensation. Unlike the more linear experience of male desire, women experience arousal as a complex interplay of emotion, intellect, and intuition. It is not a switch to be flipped. It is a fire to be carefully tended. Mental stimulation is not about grand displays of knowledge. It is not boasting nor dominating the conversation with self-centered tales. It is about engaging her mind, sparking her curiosity, honoring her intelligence, and recognizing that true connection requires more than surface charm. I remember another lesson, equally earned. I was speaking with a woman of sharp intellect and deep insight, someone working in the demanding field of marketing. In our first encounters, I filled the space with stories of my own making, projects, achievements, opinions. But the dialogue was hollow. Then I chose a different path. I asked not, "How was your day?" but "What's the most complex challenge you're facing right now? What excites you about it? What frustrates you?" Her whole energy changed. Her eyes lit with passion, her voice filled with conviction. She no longer spoke to fill the space. She spoke to share herself. That was the moment I understood. Mental stimulation is not about showing how intelligent you are. It is about honoring how intelligent she is. It is found in curiosity, in asking questions that reveal deeper layers, in the ability to listen not only with ears but with presence. It is not always about serious topics. Sometimes it is light, playful teasing, a well-placed observation, shared laughter over the absurdities of daily life. These too are moments of connection, of mental and emotional dance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Let your thoughts be rich in respect, your words guided by purpose, and your intent forged in awareness. If you want to awaken attraction, begin not with pursuit, but with presence. Build safety, kindle thought, and allow desire to unfold, not through pressure, but through understanding. All of these elements, playfulness, curiosity, thoughtful engagement, stimulate not only her intellect, but also the deeper recesses of her mind where desire begins to form. Emotional intelligence, too, is a pillar in this architecture. When you can listen beyond words, when you can sense her emotional current, her tone, her energy, not to analyze but to understand, you reveal a rare kind of awareness. When your responses reflect not just comprehension but empathy, when you meet her feelings not with problem solving but with presence, you show that you are fluent in the language of emotional depth. This, too, is mental stimulation. To navigate emotion with steadiness and respect is a mark of inner strength, and to most women, that is deeply attractive. And there is another thread: mystery and unpredictability. Not the shallow mystery born from games or withholding, but the genuine kind that flows from complexity. The kind that reveals you layer by layer, where your thoughts surprise her, where your perspectives don't always conform, where she feels there is always more to discover. When she cannot quite predict your next insight, or when your humor catches her off guard, her mind stays engaged. Curiosity thrives. And where curiosity lives, attraction often follows. Third comes anticipation, a force greatly misunderstood by those who rush. Many believe desire is created through immediacy, that the faster one moves toward physical closeness, the stronger the connection becomes. But this is an illusion. For many women, desire is not a sprint, but a slow and winding path. It is not the outcome, but the anticipation that sharpens the senses and heightens the experience. Consider your favorite story, your favorite film. Is it the final moment that grips you most? Or is it the slow building of tension, the uncertainty, the wondering what will come next? It is the same with arousal. It is not about the moment itself, but the path to it. To skip ahead is to rob the journey of its meaning. I recall a moment, quiet and powerful, when a woman I was seeing looked at me and said, "Slow down. You're rushing towards something I haven't arrived at yet, and that makes me less likely to want it." Her words struck with clarity. "Let me want it first." Those 5 words reshaped my understanding. Let her want it first. Not through pressure, but through space. Not through pushing, but through patience. Anticipation is created in proximity without possession, the closeness that lingers, the almost touch, the eye contact held just a heartbeat longer than comfort. The gentle brush of fingers, a hand placed briefly, respectfully on her back. These are not tactics. They are the art of allowing space for tension to grow. What psychologists call arousal tension is not a trick. It is the natural rhythm of human desire to want what is not immediately given. Words, too, are instruments of anticipation, suggestion over declaration. A subtle compliment carries more weight than an obvious one. "You have the most distracting smile" engages the mind. "You're hot" ends the thought. One invites curiosity, the other closes it. Even time plays its part. How desire grows not just across an evening, but across days, across conversations that end too soon, messages that linger in memory, and meetings that leave something unsaid. Let the space between encounters do its work. Let her want the next moment. That is how anticipation becomes a powerful part of attraction. 4th is emotional connection, the deep root beneath the surface. Many pursue physical desire without tending to emotional closeness. They mistake chemistry for connection and wonder why passion fades. What they fail to see is that for many women, desire is not simply biological, it is profoundly emotional. The more she feels seen by you, understood, valued, the more her body begins to respond in kind. It is not a matter of manipulation. It is a reflection of trust and intimacy. You must remember, physical attraction may catch the eye, but it is emotional connection that sustains the flame. To know her fears, her joys, her past, not to fix, not to use, but to witness, is to open the path to something deeper. When a woman feels emotionally safe, intellectually engaged, and steadily seen, her desire becomes not a reaction, but a choice, a response to the space you have created through presence, not pressure. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. When your thinking is grounded, your awareness sharp, your presence calm, you no longer chase desire, you invite it. Attraction, then, is not something you earn by effort, but something that arises when your nature aligns with what is true, respectful and strong. This is why so many women describe intimacy with someone they feel emotionally connected to as vastly more fulfilling than casual encounters, even when the physical motions are similar. It is not technique alone that matters. It is presence, depth, and connection. Emotional intimacy deepens everything. It is born not from perfection, but from vulnerability, from the quiet strength it takes to share what is real, to show not only your triumphs, but your struggles, not to impress, but to reveal. I recall a relationship where I wore the mask of composure, only showing my strengths, my ambition, my best self. She was interested, yes, but something in our connection felt shallow. The passion lacked depth. And then, one night, I spoke from honesty. I shared a career disappointment that had rattled me, a blow to my confidence I had kept hidden. Instead of retreating, she opened. She shared her own fears, her uncertainty about the future. In that moment, something shifted. What had felt mechanical became alive. Our physical connection transformed, not because of new techniques, but because we saw each other more clearly. Emotional connection is built through empathy, the capacity to sit with her feelings without trying to fix them, to understand not just her words, but the emotional terrain behind them. It's the ability to be present when she's joyful, anxious, or uncertain, and to reflect back not judgment, but understanding. To say through action, I see you as you are, and I'm not going anywhere. This connection is strengthened through active listening, not simply hearing but absorbing, asking thoughtful questions, remembering the details, the book she mentioned in passing, the dream she quietly shared, the family story she told when she wasn't sure you were even listening. When you bring those threads back into conversation later, you're showing her that she matters, not as a concept, but as a person. And when a woman feels fully seen, when her mind and heart are engaged, her desire is not just awakened, it is magnified. Finally, we arrive at the fifth stage. Physical attraction becomes the catalyst. And only now, after emotional safety, mental stimulation, anticipation, and emotional connection, does this final layer take its rightful place. It is the fire that emerges not from spark alone, but from kindling long prepared. Many make the mistake of beginning here, assuming touch will carry the weight of what the heart and mind have not built. But for most women, this order is reversed. Physical desire is not the cause, but the consequence, something awakened by emotional presence, intellectual engagement, and trust. At this stage, physical attraction is no longer about appearance alone. It's about presence. It's the way you hold yourself, the way your energy feels when you walk into the room, the way your eyes meet hers, not to possess, but to connect. The confidence that comes not from ego, but from integrity, and the awareness to recognize her cues, to read her comfort, to respond to her signals with attunement, not assumption. One woman once put it best. She said, "There are many attractive men, but very few men make me feel safe, understood, excited, and desired all at once." That's what makes someone irresistible. And she was right. For the man who builds all of these layers, physical intimacy becomes something far greater. It becomes the visible expression of something already deeply felt. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up, if thou wilt ever dig." So too is it with attraction. If you dig only at the surface, you find fleeting attention. But if you go deeper, into presence, into listening, into awareness, you unlock something rare. You become not merely desirable, but unforgettable. And in that, you do not chase connection. You become the source of it. It is not enough to simply arrive at the physical. One must do so with awareness. True connection in the body comes only after connection in the mind and soul. To be physically present is not a performance. It is a conversation, a shared rhythm between two people who trust one another. It is not about dominance or display. It is about attunement, the subtle, powerful act of being fully aware of her and of yourself. When she trusts you, a simple hand on her back carries meaning. When emotional intimacy has been established, even a glance can feel electric. And when anticipation has been built with care, mere proximity becomes a source of energy. Understand this. Physical intimacy is not about applying a universal script. Every woman is different. Each body tells its own story, and the wise man listens to that story in real time. He watches, he adjusts, he communicates, he does not assume, he learns. He honors her reactions as sacred signals, not puzzles to decode, but truths to respect. In this space, touch becomes sacred, not routine, but revelation. Your presence, your energy, your confidence, they all matter deeply. But not the kind of confidence that shouts or demands. Rather, the quiet kind that radiates from being at ease with yourself. The kind that shows through stillness. A woman who feels emotionally safe, mentally engaged, and fully connected with you wants to feel your certainty, not your pressure, but your grounded presence. In this harmony, attraction becomes more than desire. It becomes trust ignited by chemistry. Many women describe their most powerful experiences of intimacy not as isolated physical acts, but as the culmination of something carefully built. When all five elements align, emotional safety, mental stimulation, anticipation, emotional connection, and finally, physical attraction, something rare happens. Arousal is no longer mechanical. It becomes transformative. That is what makes connection unforgettable. And so, we return to where we began, the 5 stages that form the path to genuine female arousal. First, emotional safety. Then, mental stimulation. Third, anticipation. Fourth, emotional connection. And finally, physical attraction. Not as a starting point, but as the spark that transforms all that came before it. The mistake so many make is starting at the end. They attempt to light a fire where no foundation has been laid, and then wonder why there is no warmth. But arousal is not a switch to be flipped. It is a process to be respected. And the statistic we opened with, that 85% of women do not experience true arousal without first meeting certain psychological and emotional conditions, is not just data, it is insight. It reveals the deeper truth of human intimacy, that connection is not earned through shortcuts, but cultivated through presence, patience, and real understanding. To know this is to become not only a more attractive man, but a more conscious one. One who does not merely seek pleasure, but creates depth. One who stops performing and starts connecting. If this reflection offered you something new, something useful, then I invite you to continue this journey. Subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you recognized these stages in your own relationships? What surprised you? What challenged you? Let this not be a monologue, but a dialogue. Remember, genuine attraction is never about tricks or techniques. It is about honoring the complexity, the beauty, the humanity of connection itself. Walk that path with awareness, and you will not only understand others, you will begin to understand yourself. Until next time, hold steady, walk with purpose, and choose presence over performance.